Hey, Don the Auction Professor. Today I have a pick. I went to two places actually. I went by an antique mall that only has a couple vendors that I even look at anymore. The rest are all pretty much overpriced. They know what they're doing, or they never bring anything new in. So, you know, I've talked about that before, not going back to some places, but I had to do a pick. So I thought I'd stop in it again. I looked at 3 booths in this mall, and there might have been 100 of them in there. So that gives me the odds in this mall. And I wasn't wanting to be there a whole long time. I've got a good amount of stuff that I've picked recently, so I'm not really worried about rushing. But since I was over there, I did hit those 3 booths. I was in and out of that place in less than 15 minutes, and I got some real good scores out of there too, which I will show you probably at the last. And let's just show you some of the bigger items here. Now this is a clock plate. Well, let me get it the right way up. It has the calendar on it. It's from 1911, and not only that, it has the town that this place is from. It's like an advertisement for a furniture company out of Chicago, it looks like. Yeah, Chicago area. And it's got the address of the store, and then it's got clocks that show you what time it is in all other places of the country and the world. So it's a really interesting plate. I don't mess with much China, but advertising plates, 1911, a major, you know, company that's no longer in existence with, you know, the clocks on it sells. And here's another one along that same line, 1912. Now this is from Botkins, Ohio. This is a small town, you know, now defunct area, and it's like a calendar listman here, and it's got calendar for 2 different years on it all the way around. It's a rather interesting item. It's Dresden, it's China, it's a nice piece. So these were $1 a piece, so I can't go wrong. I'll throw them up for like $57.50 and just take whatever I can get on them. These are one example of items that I do sell, and I do sell fairly often. I'll probably get 14 or 15 bucks minimum for my $1 investment within a month or 2 at the very latest on these. So that's just a couple items. And get rid of these too. Now I don't again mess with much clothing, but for $1 for a worn hat, this is actually a 1930s or 40s felt with leather brim on it and the whole works, leather sweatband. And I got 2 of them too. They're a slightly different color. This one's a lot better construction, nicer looking hat. But again, these are 30 or 40 for my $1. They'll go in a little bag. I won't have to worry about size or measurements or returns on these. So that's another good item there. And then I got these. Now these are lederhosen, and these are real ones. These are leather. They're marked Bavaria, and again, $1. They're not, you know, they probably need a good cleaning. They're suede leather, but somebody's still going to want these, a costume or something, you know. In a good condition, some of these can go for 60, 70 bucks average. This is well made. This was made to be used. It has a liner on inside of the leather straps for the shoulders. So this is a nice one. It's got a official emblem thing here from the area. Edelweiss is on there, which is a flower from the Alps. So everything's the way it should be. It's got leather highlights and the whole works. Again, for my $1, I'm going to get at least 40 bucks out of this. And again, I don't mess with a lot of clothing. So anyway, let's get rid of a couple more of the big items. Now this is a brass piece, and I thought it was just junk when I first saw it, but it looks really well made. Somebody has cleaned this up immensely on the outside and polished it. There's actually a Russian crown seal, the 2-headed eagle on the bottom. So this is a vintage piece. It's not junk. It's well stamped in there. The inside shows its age. It's just totally riddled with patina all the way around. It's got used, you know, example. You can tell it was used. This is a real nice early piece. You know, probably, it's handmade too, mind you. You can see the seam marks. You can even see the hammering on the actual shaping of this all the way around everywhere. And that's not hammering, you know, fake hammering. This is the real deal. And it was actually lined on the inside at some point. So, and again, I got 2, actually I think I got 3 bucks into it. He gave this to me at the price of scrap brass. It's like £1 or so of this, so, you know, because that's what he would have got out of it. To him it was junk. It's got a couple dings in it and all. But again, this is Russian from like 1910. It's authentic. I don't doubt it for a minute. You can see the hand-wrought marks on it. But somebody has polished it up. And I can really tell that when you look in the crevices and the creases, because it's just caked on with a ton of patina in those cracks. And it's not fake patina. I mean, it takes a long time to get the patina color here. There's some green color on the edges where they didn't clean it, and it's just black anywhere else where they left crevices here. Had they not polished it up that much, you know, it'd probably be a better piece. But for my money on this, I'll probably get 50 or 60 bucks minimum for this. Now, there's some reproductions that look really close to this, but you can tell by the marking and the quality, the weight alone, and the patina on it. So even if it's been cleaned, you can still tell by looking at it very closely. And this is handmade 100% all the way around. Every piece on here, even this looks to be hand turned. Very well made piece, but anyway, that was a good return on my investment, at least 50 bucks. Let's see here, let me do these canisters. Now these are 50 cents, believe it or not. They're good on one side. The other side, though, has some issue to it. Now these are 35mm film canisters. I don't really know what these are worth, but I figured for 50 cents, I'm definitely going to sell them. It's just a shame that the top side is a little messed up. These probably will buff up with a little bit of metal polish. It comes in like wadding. If you haven't seen it, Walmart sells it. They sell it at Rite Aid and stuff. It's like $6 for a can. It's black and silver, I think. Never dull or something like that. But I may be able to still clean these up without hurting the label. They're vintage. I would still say, even like this, even if I don't clean them up, I'm still probably going to get, say, 20 or 30 bucks a piece from it. Again, I paid 50 cents, $1 for the pair. Crazy as that sounds, these are just tins to him, and most tins sell for 50 cents, $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 at the most. So I was very happy with these. They're big pieces. I mean, they're pretty impressive. They look good on a shelf. If I had the reels that went with these, they'd be worth a lot more, because the reels I've sold on their own too. But anyway. And then I have this. It's a Harlem Globetrotters program. Actually, it's from a New York hotel exhibition. I don't remember the year. It looks like it's from the 70s, maybe. Maybe a little newer than that. I don't see a year on this, honestly. I can look this up, I'm sure. Oh, 1984, sorry. So I figure, you know, for $1 on this, I'll probably get 15 or 20, because it's actually them, they were there. It can be cleaned up on the cover with just some wet, damp washcloth or paper towel. And it's safe on covers like this if you haven't tried it before. But that's another one. Now this is like an early high school boys fishing trip. Now these are like cereal books for like kids. It's from 1913. But the best part about this, for the $1 I paid for it, it's got the dust jacket. So I figure 15, 20 bucks minimum for any of these with dust jackets. That's usually what I get across the board. If I can get 50 of them like this for $1 a piece, I'd buy them. You know, even if they sat for a little while, because I'm going to get my money back on these. Every one of the books like this, these young adult readers, I sell for 15 bucks or so with the dust jacket. At least 10 on the worst day of the week. And sometimes I'm lucky and they sell for 40 or 50. So anyway. And then I've got the History of Phi Kappa Alpha. Now these are fraternity books. This is a fraternity from college. And this is a later printing. Doesn't really matter. These still sell extremely well. I'm not sure what college they were at. So a lot of these fraternities were in many colleges. But the point of the matter is all these fraternity books go very well. $1 I paid for it as usual. It's a nice quality book. No marks in it. It looks really nice. Some light foxing like most of the books from the 50s and stuff. But I'm figuring 30 bucks minimum, maybe even 50 or 60 on this one. Most of the history books from the fraternity ones I sell for at least 30 or 40 bucks. So, you know, I always pick them up. Let's see what else we got here. Here is an old school book. Now, I'll buy these when they're cheap. I paid $1 for this, too. He didn't even look at the age. He just threw them in stacks. Everything here is $1. Everything here is $2. And usually I'll find something really good. This isn't a super high-priced one, but this is from 1851, and it's Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt. It's a nice little book. I'll probably get 30 or 40 for it. I'll probably list it maybe in the Civil War section. I could even tear out the maps that are inside here in the illustrations and sell those separately if I really wanted to, because they're actually engraved and you can feel the engraving on the page. But again, it's missing some pieces. Sometimes I've glued new spines on it because I'll save damaged books like this, and you can repurpose the covers as long as you state that the other book that you put them on is repaired. So as long as you list that in there, it's safe. Now, there's special glue you would get, which I do carry. You can order it from like museum supply companies and things like that. Some of it's like rabbit skin glue and things like that, is some of the stuff that some of the Japanese firms use and things to repair stuff. But there's other substances too. You just have to know a little bit about it. But when I get the books like this, sometimes I'll even strip off just segments of the actual leather from the cover, and I'll save those. I'll soften them up, over time, and save big chunks of these. So when I do need to add a strip across here, I can rebind just enough to rebind the outside leather so it looks really nice when it's sold. And sometimes they're fancy spines that you can cut off and then remount somewhere else too. But that's just an FYI. Let's see here. Okay, now this was something really good. Now I bought this book because it was the perfect tribute. I figured it was from 1909-ish, from a centennial for Lincoln. And when I opened it up at home, again, mind you, at home, I didn't even really look through it. I opened it up a couple pages, and out flopped these. Now I've put them in little sleeves now. These are Civil War era engraved like CDV cards, and they're full-fledged engraved. This one actually says A. Lincoln, President of the United States, and Mrs. Lincoln. Now I've only had a couple Mrs. Lincolns. I've looked these up. They are vintage. They are from that era. You can feel it when you rub your fingernail across it. These might be worth, say, $100 or better for the pair of these. And again, these were in a $1 book. Sometimes I found bills in books. Sometimes I'll find in big comic book lots money that was hidden by the kids in the books and things like that. So this is just something you need to look out for. So my investment here just turned into $100 or better. And these could go for even more than that. That's just a low estimate based on, some information that I've looked up in Civil War journals and catalogs. But anyway, that should be a good item there. Let's see here. Golden Anniversary, Barton Smith Lodge. Now this is a Masonic Lodge. It's just a bunch of information. It's got presence lists and banks and photos and stuff. I pay $1 for these. I should get $14-15 for it without a problem. Now this is a little different here. This is like a Civil War 19th century wallet, and it's made for the large size bills. That's why it's so big. The bills back then were monstrous in size. Look up large banknotes and you'll see what I'm talking about. Whenever I see them like this, it's pretty much a given the era. Again, it's not in great condition, but for $1, he thought it was junk. I may clean it up a little bit because this will clean up somewhat and look a heck of a lot nicer than this. You can clean leather with some preservative, and it will increase the value when you go to sell it. So I expect to get $40 or $50 for this once I clean it up. And again, be careful with the way you clean things. You don't want to do damage to them, but for $1, I'm going to take a risk all day long on a Civil War vintage era wallet. And that's literally what this is. I've had them before. I know what they look like. I know the size. I know for sure that that's what this is. So anyway, that's another good item. Fragile, but again, I'll clean it up, and then I'll actually bag it after I photograph it and take care of it carefully that way. Now here's something else I always buy. Now this is a Cessna. If you don't know what a Cessna is, it's a small two-door airplane, prop-driven. I sell these every time I get them, and I've got a couple of them from other sources as well too. This is a 1964 Cessna Model 150. It's the owner's manual. You would have gotten this when you bought the airplane. And again, $1 for this. I'll probably get, say, $40-45 for this puppy here. So anyway, that's a good one there as well too. Now, Auto Club items I buy too when I get them. This is a I think it's 42, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1942. Actually, next issue is May 1942, so this is actually from 41, it looks like, on this one here. Now, this is Western Tour Book. It's loaded with ads in the back. It's got maps in it as well, too. It's got stuff to put your foldouts in. It's got city maps in it. I don't find them this early for the Auto Club stuff. Again, $1 on it. I'll probably put $40 or $50 on it and see what happens. I'll probably at least get $20 or $30 for it, so, I can't go wrong on that. Now this is a, let me see if it has the box label on it. This is a Esquire Barmaster Jigger. It was made to fill up your shot glasses, and it's pretty much all here. It's Art Deco. It's probably from the 30s. It's got the original box. It's got something else in here. Let's see what else we got in here. It's probably like a ring. Yeah, it's just some kind of junk ring. But this would fill up with the liquor or whatever you're pouring when you tilt it, and then when you pour it into the glass, it just dumps from this piece here. So that way it's proportioned out correctly. But since it has the box for $1 as well, I figure I'd give a shot. Again, it's Art Deco. It's 30s, 40s, maybe 50s at the very latest. So, you know, I figure 15, 20 bucks in the barware section of Collectibles. And that's usually where I sell these. And I usually sell this kind of stuff pretty quickly, too. So, anyway. I got some postcards. I'm not going to show you the postcards. But I also got these here. Now, these are military letters sent to a soldier during World War I. And they're just... I don't know how well you can see these. Maybe I'll do a close-up video today. But they're stamped with just a ton of stuff. Yeah, I guess I'll show these on a close-up video. It's just not possible to show them. I paid $1 for these pair, but anyway. And then I've got like this is from the 92nd Air Force. It's some kind of jet fighter pilot group from 2002 from Savannah. I figure for the $1, it's actually marble. Somebody who went there was a member of this group will probably end up buying it. And these sell all the time. This isn't the only one I've had of these. This is like a paperweight. It would have been like a retirement or something like that. These always sell. You know, I'll get, you know, maybe 20, 30 bucks for it if the right person's on. And then I got a buckle and some other stuff. But I think I'll show you the rest of this in a close-up video. Not that there's a lot here, but just so you can get a good idea. I've got some cards here as well, too. Now, this is from the Tile Club. The Tile Club is a New York organization. It included only prominent, like, writers and actors and things. Kind of like Oscar Wilde kind of group, kind of something like that. Now, these came from the mall, and these are actually pretty good items. You know, I was really surprised. I've never run into anything from the Tile Club ever. I took some poetry classes that you're required to, or it's an elective technically, but it filled a required class in college, so we read some stuff by the Tile Club. So, you know, I think Walt Whitman was a member of it as well, too. These are actresses and stuff in these. It's basically advertising cards for members of this club. It says with the Tile Club, and it's got their name and stuff. These would have been given out at like a stage show or something that these members were at. So these are very rare. They're like movie collectible cards basically would be today. And I got 20 bucks into this whole lot here. I don't even remember how many was in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 of them. So, you know, roughly $3 are average a piece on these. I expect 50 or 60 bucks minimum on these, maybe even more. The Tile Club connection might sell them up in the 75 to 100 for all I know. So, you know, there could be $500 to $700 here. Low end, I'm thinking a couple $100 at the minimum on these alone. Middle up here. Here's another item I got. Now, this is a poster from G.O.S.H. Harrison & Sons. It's actually a calendar as well from 1883. I spent 20 bucks on this at that same antique mall. I expect, even in the condition it has, some little damage here, some specks missing from the color and things. I'd expect to get at least 150 to say 500 bucks, somewhere in that range. I haven't even looked it up, but I know I'm going to make, you know, at least 150 on this because every one of these sells in that range or higher. I just sold those $900 cards and $700 cards and $650 cards. It was for printers just like this. And not only that, this is from the same printer I just sold those cards for you know, $900 and, you know, the 650 cards, 650 bucks. These are from the same company. These are also advertising cards. This is an 1881 calendar card on top of it, which actually shows him pressing out stuff on it. This would have been a wood plate or wood block engraving. This is a primo piece. This could be $800-900. I've got 10 into this as well. 10 into this one here as well. And again, 3 booths out of an entire huge antique mall is all I can find stuff on. These are the only things I found in there were those tile cards in one booth and the rest of these in another. And again, same thing, show cards. This alone, I'm expecting to get, say, 600 bucks or so for this as well, too. So again, it may not look like a lot of stuff here, but we're talking, you know, $3,000 maybe I'll get out of all these. And this is the last item that I found. This is a missionary packet Morningstar. It's actually a ship. This is an engraved certificate where somebody actually saved up their money and invested in the ship, and it's from 1866. It's a missionary group that would go to Africa, and this is a writ on the actual ship itself. So again, this was $2. So, and it's real, it's on parchment. You know, you can see the watermarks in it. It's been actually printed by an engraving company. It's actually a real nice piece. I expect to get like 75 to 100 bucks for this. But that's the main items here. We're going to go over to the screen for just a couple minutes here, and maybe I'll show you a close-up on these items, just kind of show you what they are as well, too. But we're going to go over to the screen right now. These are the Tile Club cards. I'll just show you a couple of them here. I wish I could get the light a little better on this, but bad area to record. But you can kind of see these right here. Again, they're just actor and actresses cards for the most part. But again, these were handed out at the stage shows that they performed at. So again, that's all they are. And again, I have very little into the whole lot. So anyway. And this here is, you can see the G.O.S. Harris and Sons 1830 calendar, 1883, pardon me. But again, these are really nice items. You know, I should do pretty well on these, as I said. Let me show you this as well, too. This is actually the parchment slip for the actual steamship. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see it a little better. But there you go. That's what it looks like. The date is actually right there, 1866. So, again, for my $2, that's a really good one. And these were $10 a piece. And you can see they look just like the other ones that I had sold as well, too. So, you know, this should do very, very, very well. Same with this one here. You know, these are at least $100 a piece. No doubt about it whatsoever. But let's move on to a couple of the other things. I got this today, too. Let me zoom back down so we can get a better look at it. Zoom in just a little bit better, because we're going to be showing you some smaller items today. But there you go, Smith & Wesson. Now this is from the 70s. These go for about 20 or 30 bucks. I spent $2 on this one because that's about what the brass is on this one. So I'll make some money. I might clean it up. I may not. I got this as well, too. Now, I always buy these. This is a tone arm. As I talked about in other videos, I take things apart. This is the arm. This would have sat like this. This is the mounts for it. And this is actually the needles. Somebody could replace the very edge needle there with a new one. These just slide out. But the arm and the actual mechanisms are still pretty good. This was $1 as well. I'll probably get 20 or 30 bucks for this piece here. Let me see. I was going to show you these as well, too. Now, these, I spent some money on, and I'll probably iron these out, because you can iron these. I've talked about that before, as long as it's all there. And is it all there? Yeah, it's pretty much all there. So you can unfold these, and then you'd iron this out. And it, again, even if they're ripped open like this, I don't worry, because the cover collector will still like these. This has a ton, as you can see now. All you have to do is iron it now. But there's a ton of stampings on here. I usually don't see them with all these stampings. It was inspected many times. This person actually was wounded, and it appears that he died before the letter made it to him. And he died from a battlefield wound. You know, there's a bunch of information on these. Casual T is what that should have been. That would have been the actual marking there. But again, I paid $1 for the pair of these. There's actually a letter in this one. And it's got, you know, he's in the 91st Division. It's just got a ton of information on here. Wounded right there. But again, as I said, he ended up passing away from what I understand. But these letters alone, you know, I should get 15, 20 bucks for the pair of these. Maybe a little more than that. So anyway, those are pretty good. Now the rest are some better pieces here too. Now I bought a little bag of Masonic items, and I actually got a gold pin out of here, 14 karat. It's already been put with my gold stuff, so I don't have it right here, but it's a small little pin, but it's still solid 14 karat gold, so it was like a $30 or $40 worth of gold. I mean, I've talked about it before. I save up gold and silver and lots, and then I sell them to one specific person in town. That's, I'm sure, silver or gold there in the center, because that's usually the case. I can't find any markings saying it's gold or anything, but I'm pretty darn sure it's gold filled on the face. This is a tie clip, and then here are the cufflinks as well, too. And this set here, I'd probably put 5750 on it, and I'd probably include this as well, too, which is like a local pin from this group here, too. So anyway, it's all Masonic. Let me see if we can focus it just a little better up closer here. But it's all Masonic. Some of these little Masonic pins like this on their own can sell for, say, 15, 20, 30, 40 even bucks like that. So anyway, let's pop these back in there. And I've talked about silver and stuff as well, too. This was all tangled up with a big bunch of rosaries. I just spent $5 on them all and hoped there was something in there. I couldn't get them apart. But these are 3 separate Roma, Italy, sterling silver religious crosses with actual the chains with them too. There's 3 different ones. There's a heart and 2 crosses. They're all marked. This would be like a Sacred Heart style. And then there's one more cross in here. Again, I'll probably separate them again and bag them before I actually photograph them. I just put them in a bag just to separate them from the rest of the junk. But you can see the markings on there. Again, really good items here. There's not a ton of silver value in it, but as a religious lot, I'll probably get $30 for the grouping of them there. Let's see here. This one's the next best thing here. Let's show you this. Again, I bag everything. If you need to know about the bags, I have a link to all of them in the video description here. Now, this one is the reason I bought all these tangled up. And I've got 5 rosaries, those silver necklaces, and another necklace all chunked together. These are actually carved mother of pearl, which is shell, in sterling. And this is a real nice early sterling cross. Very well detailed. This is at least $100 right here, because these are hand cut out of some thick conch shell or something along that line. It's a very nice piece, and I always buy these. Crystal crosses with sterling sell very well, but this one here is just a real nice piece. I knew what it was, the shell-wise, because I mess with the shell too, but hopefully you can get a gist on the quality. Hopefully you can get a gist on the quality here. Let's see if I can focus just a little more on this. One more time here. Sorry, folks. But there you go. That's a real nice piece there. Again, at least $100. I'm probably going to put, say, $150 to $175 on this one. And again, $5 I spent for, let's see, all of this here was $5, all of these pieces, just so you can kind of get a gist on it. So when I bagged them all up, it was just a big jumble of stuff stuck together when I found them. But there are some other ones in here too. They're not all silver. The rest of them are not, but they're still vintage ones. This is an Italian one with wood beads. Again, a rather nice one. He's marked Italy on the sides of one of these here somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, but he's marked Italy. It's a nice piece, and then they're hand-carved wood beads. You know, $20 maybe on this one here. So even if I just sold one of the cheap ones, I would have got my money back even. And then I got another one here. This is more carved wood beads, Italy. Most of the Italian ones are well made, and they'll sell very well. So again, $20 or so I would gather for these. They're nice seed-style beads. They might actually be some sort of petrified seed even. But anyway, that's another $20 as I said. Probably more than that. But I usually put like $34.50 on the cheaper crosses, and then then I go up depending on the condition or the style of the cross. This one's just some small crystal. Again, it's Italy. It's got even a little made in Italy, a little medallion on it too. So it's an earlier piece either way. Probably something like this will be like $10 or $15. But again, as I said, these were all stuck together in one lot. So, I got them all for $5. I honestly didn't know if they were going to come apart. So, it was a little bit of a potluck. Now, this is a vintage, say, 40s or so. They're like pearls, and I'm sure they're imitation pearls. The center points, our fathers are like a bluish pearl, and the rest are like a dark goldish pearl. I guess they could be real pearls, but I really doubt it, just by looking at the cross on there. Sometimes you run across these that are real pearls. That's some kind of, I don't know what that would be, maybe a plastic. But this is still a rather interesting piece. I'd probably put, $15, $20 on it. I like small jewelry items. They always sell for us. May not be huge quick movers, and they may not make a ton of money, but if I spend 50 cents or something on something and I get $15, $20 2 months later, that's pretty darn good from my point. Here's another Italian one. That's wood on the inside with metal on the outside surrounding. That looks like that is sterling, but it's just such a small quantity. It's marked, as I said, and then it's marked on these Italy as well, too. So they're all together, and these are like funky square-turned beads, all wood. So this is probably hand put together. Again, $20 or so on this one. That's about average I get on most of these. Low end, maybe 15 on this one and the last one. Just have a few more items here. This was also in here. This is the last piece of the religious that was stuck together with it all. It took me 15 or so minutes to untangle all these. But this is a vintage Pope medallion. I want to say it's from the 50s or 60s. Somebody well wore this. Even this small piece here is like $15. Just like that. So anyway, all these little ones sell. Don't pass them by just because they're religious as well. A lot of people think they're not worth something, but I sell a lot of religious based items. I got another pin or two that I actually gave to my son. It was something he collected. So anyway, there was more to it. Now this is the Paris City emblem on this here. It's got the little boat on it, if you can tell. And this is like circa 1890s, 1910-ish. It's like a city promo pin, but it's nice enamel, and it's really early by the marking on it. So, you know, World War I or earlier. This could end up being like a police insignia or something along that line, or even a military piece, but I should do very well in this either way. Now this one I spent $3 on, just because he knew it was old, and the source he got it from, he spent more than he usually does because he figured I'd like it, and sure enough, it's worth the $3, you know. Either way, I'll put like $57.50, as I said, on this. And then I just have a couple more little pieces here, and that will be it for today. Let's see, 2 more pieces of costume jewelry. Now these I'll buy for 50 cents or $1. I think I spent 50 on this one here, 50 cents. It's actually solid sterling that's been spun in like string form and then soldered together in a nice little pattern. There is a mark on it on here. I don't remember where it was, but there's a mark on here. These don't go for a ton of money, but for the 50 cents I believe is what I paid for it, you know, there's a quarter of an ounce, so there's $3 or $4 in sterling on this alone. So, and I could clean it up and dip it with something like this. You can dip it. Now, I'm not going to go into cleaning these, but there's an easy way to dip them with chemicals. But that's usually what I do if I keep them. Otherwise, this is just scrap for $3. So I'm not going to pass up scrap because I can always get it, and the price is down in silver, so I'll actually get more for it when silver goes back up. And then I got a gold-filled piece here too. This one I looked up. I recognized the name on it. I actually had to write it down just so I keep track of it. Walter Lamp. Not a huge high-dollar piece, but it's really an attractive piece. You know, it's got a lot of nice stones, several colors. There's nice blue and reds in it. It's some kind of floral design. The light in the camera just doesn't do this piece justice. It's really spectacular looking. And it's actually marked. It's 1/10 12 karat gold filled, so it's a good piece. It's got a WL and the little logo that he uses, so I knew what it was, that it was something good. So I just pulled up my handy dandy book. And again, I've talked about some of the books to get for this, doing this type of stuff. I'm going to holler out some here in another video and just go over that. And go out how to get these and where's the cheapest source for all the books. Library is usually the best source for us, but that's all the smalls I got here then. Oh, well, that's what I have for you today. Again, this is just 2 stops. It was one of my pickers that I spent a couple hours just digging through everything he had. We talk and stuff, too, so I'm not there usually that whole time just doing stuff like that. But we talk about collectibles and antiques as well. And then I went by an antique mall that was by him and picked up the other few items you saw there. I have very little money into the entire lot, less than $200 into everything you see here, including the high-dollar paper items. But my return on the investment is going to be pretty big. And these are items that most people would miss and not pay any attention to, and that's where I make the most of my money at. So again, Don the Auction Professor, hopefully that gave you some ideas. Hopefully you learned from that. If you liked the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon up top to be notified when I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.